I shall probably ask you to introduce yourself, but we've actually met you before. But your current role is at Het Loo, and you have a fantastic orangery there and a fantastic story to tell us about the Dutch influence on orangery buildings. So welcome, Willem, to the webinar.
Well, thank you for the invitation to speak at this webinar. Well, not for the first time, and I like to take you with me to Het Loo Palace. Can I have the second next slide and the other one? Well, Het Loo Palace. It was a project of William of Orange, Prince of Orange, and his English wife Mary Stuart II. They were nephew and niece, as was usual in royal and aristocratic families, to marry into the family, and they shared a passion for gardening and for horticulture. William more for architecture and Mary more for plants and horticulture, and Het Loo was the result of this combined passion. William once said, "I have two passions in my life, and that was horticulture and hunting." And for both reasons, Het Loo was built. He bought the old medieval castle of Het Loo in 1684, and he immediately started to build a completely new summer residence, really a palace with a strong role for the garden. And as you can see here, this is the east wing of the palace, and that's the wing is the orangery. And on the right side is the house of the head gardener, who had to take care of the gardens, but certainly also for the orangery. The tradition of having orange trees and orangeries in the Orange Nassau family started already in the early 16th century by the uncle of William III, Prince Maurits. He was the one who had a kind of an orangery at the Buitenhof, which is the castle inside in the center of The Hague. It still exists, and it's now the government center. This garden doesn't exist anymore. The grandfather of Willem, Prince Frederick Henry, continued with building several orangeries near The Hague, and of course William continued with that. The tradition started in the 17th century, and it's still continuing to the present day, and even with some of the original plants, of which we are really proud. Can I have the next slide? Kate, can you show the next slide?
It's frozen again on me.
Oh, well.
No, it will go. It'll wake up, I'm sure. I will keep asking it. I'll stop sharing.
Okay.
Share again. Let's hope. Very sorry about this. I think it must be.
Well, it's a nice picture.
It's a lovely picture, but we're stuck on it. It worked earlier. Why should it not work now?
In the meanwhile, you can see a few plants in front of the. Oh, there it is. Great.
There it is.
Well, you saw the east wing of the palace with the orangery. This orangery continued to be in use until the end of the 18th century. Then the Netherlands were occupied by the French after an uprising in the Netherlands itself, and the Orange Nassau family fled to England, and they stayed for a while at Hampton Court for some reason. The brother of Napoleon, Louis Napoleon, he became the King of Holland, and he chose Het Loo as his summer residence. The palace was completely ransacked and looted, and the gardens were demolished, and so he he made a landscape park out of it. And during this uprising, all the orange trees and the were sold to another estate, but he bought them back. So that was actually he saved the collection, and he built a new orangery. It was quite a simple building, south facing, in front of the palace. We never had pictures or photos of it until very recently. We discovered this picture. It's a new alley up to the palace, and on your left hand you see some buildings. And if you have a close look, you can see the orangery built by Louis Napoleon through the gate. This building doesn't exist anymore, and it was replaced. May I have the next slide? And it was replaced in 1912 by the orangery you see over there. The glass houses are much older. They are at the moment 150 years old and still in use. The orangery was not a success. It was west facing, and as you can see, it has rather small windows, which was not very good for the citrus collection. The bay trees did quite well, but the citrus trees never bloom, and of course they never had fruits as well. So they were kept alive, but not in an excellent condition. May I have the next slide? Another addition in the 19th century was this beautiful greenhouse. It was built in 1880 for King William III. We were a monarchy again by then. And as a present for his wife, Queen Emma of Waldeck-Pyrmont. It was a rather cold greenhouse, only used for camellias and tree ferns, a bit in the 19th century tradition. And according to the records, there were about 400 varieties of camellias, and a lot of them were bought in Belgium and France. Unfortunately, this greenhouse doesn't exist anymore, and they stopped heating it in 1914 during the First World War. Holland was not involved, but there was a lack of coal and of everything, and the royal family stopped heating this very large greenhouse, and it was used as a greenhouse for plums until the 1960s, when it became in such a bad condition that it had to be taken down. So may I have the next slide? Well, Het Loo Palace stayed a royal palace until the 1970s, and then the royal family decided not to use it anymore. And as it was owned by the state, it was chosen to become a museum dedicated to the role of the House of Orange-Nassau in the Netherlands, and restored back to its 17th century proportions. So were the gardens. And looking at the orangery collection, which was mainly some bay trees and some oranges, we were working on this orangery collection to collect plants that were available in the 17th century. Here is the example. You see the front page of the Codex Constellaricensis. Which has a lot of watercolors of all the plants from the collection of William and Mary, and you can see a few on the frontispiece. The representation of the four ladies representing the four continents by then. Australia was not regarded as a continent by then. You see Asia, Europe, Africa, and the Americas. And on the as plants in very precious containers, strawberry tree, and a Leonotis, which is flowering at the moment, and in front a Pancratium maritimum, which is grown on the shores of the Mediterranean, and even a Pelargonium, a geranium, which was recently discovered in South Africa by then a Dutch trading post. So this Codex Constellaricensis was the base of recollecting a lot of plants. May I have the next one? A fine watercolor from the 19th century. Orange trees originally grown for the formal gardens still played an important role during the landscape period. Here you see King William III walking somewhere around under the trees, and in the background you see a lot of orange trees, and most of those orange trees are still in our collection now. Our oldest one is over 330 years old, and well, it's a great responsibility to take care of it and to propagate it further. May I have the next one? Talking about this propagation of citrus trees, together with Twickel Castle and Rosendael Castle, we are responsible for the genus citrus within the National Plant Collection. It's a decentralized plant collection, and well, the mentioned Het Loo and the mentioned castles are responsible for keeping and collecting citrus, and especially the bitter oranges, as shown at Het Loo and the other places. Rosendael recently came with us. Their orangery was demolished during the Second World War, and so was the collection. And we are helping them to rebuild the orange collection, and also as a kind of a backup for both the collections at Twickel Castle and Het Loo. If something horrible may happen, we still have the genetic material. May I have the next slide? Well, here you see Twickel Castle, the transport of the oranges outside the orangery, with the help of much of the tenants, and that was also a social event, you can say. And they're still talking about it as this was one of the great moments during the year for all the people involved in the estate. May I have the next one? Well, Twickel has more or less also a royal collection and a royal connection. Here you see an engraving of Oranjewoud Palace. It was also an orange palace of the Orange family in the northern part of the Netherlands, and when they fled to Britain, well, the palace was also looted, and the contents of the orangery were sold. And the count living at Twickel Castle, he was able to buy the orange plants from Oranjewoud, and this was the base of the present day collection at Twickel. So this is one of the reasons to be together in this national plant collection system. May I have the next one? Here you see the orangery at Twickel and some of the very old citrus trees over there. Their oldest trees are also 300 years and still in a fine condition. So we both not only exchanging plants, but also exchanging knowledge about how to treat them. May I have the next one? This is Rosendael Castle, the orangery, the old one. Well, as I told you, during the Battle of Arnhem, well, the orangery was completely demolished, and well, the castle was badly damaged but restored. And in the 1990s, the orangery was rebuilt according to old drawings. And well, as I told you, we are helping them with restoring their plant collection as well. It's a real pity. All those old trees were lost. Most of them are also 300 years old, and well, they are not there anymore. But they're working on a fine collection. The next one, please. Well, this you may say this is the fourth orangery, or even the fifth, if you consider the other glasshouse was a kind of an orangery as well. This is a modern glasshouse built in 1986 to house the growing orangery plant collection. And of course, the circumstances were completely different as in the 1912 orangery, which was far too dark. And suddenly the orange trees came into a very light, they were exposed to light and to a different climate. So we had to handle with that, but the trees reacted very enthusiastic as they started to bloom and to produce fruit. And this was the first time that we could make an inventory of what type of oranges we had. Mainly bitter oranges, and well, at the moment we are counting around 40 varieties, but we are still adding varieties to our collection, also with the help of other collections. Last year we went to Vienna, and well, we have to thank Claudia and her colleagues for some fine grafts that we could take back home, and we succeeded in growing some new old varieties, and we have added them to our collection. May I see the next one? Yes, this is the interior of our greenhouse. You can see how light it is, and that's, well, it requires a different type of management as in an orangery. The plants, the trees are not really they're completely still down. They're still growing, and they're still reacting during the winter. And well, we're keeping them on quite a low temperature, between 8 and 10 degrees. But of course, when it's a very sunny day, the temperature rises quickly. So what you have to do is to add a kind of fabric in the roof to temper the sun and the light. And what's very important as well, to add humidity to this greenhouse. And there is a kind of a spraying system in the top of the greenhouse. And if you are watering the plants, you are also watering the floor, so the humidity stays on a rather high level. Well, it works well until now. And what you have to do also is to prune them a little bit more than before. You have to treat them as fruit trees, if you want to have fruit, you have to prune, and to have to open up the crowns of the trees a little bit. Another major change that we made in 2014 was that we said goodbye to chemical treatments. We do not spray the trees and the plants anymore with chemicals, but they are treated in a biological way. That's something that you have to learn, and I cannot explain this in a few minutes on this webinar. I think it will need an extra webinar. We had to learn to work with it, but it really works. And then you have to think of ladybirds to eat lousers, and predatory mice, for instance. And there are a few other animals that you can use to attack lousers and other insects that you don't want to have. I was a little bit skeptical in the beginning. Of course, it's a completely different way of treating plants, but it is a success. And it's something that we explain not only to our colleagues, but also to our visitors. And I think that's a good way to share this knowledge with our colleagues. And I'm happy to share if you like, but perhaps we should do that on another moment as today. The next one, please. Can you?
Sorry, it's gone to sleep again. It obviously likes that.
Oh.
Oh dear, I'll have to stop sharing and share again.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
Talking too much.
It does seem to have a length of time, and then it just stops moving.
Yeah, that might be the reason.
Yeah. If you could carry on talking, I will try and get the next slide up.
Yeah, the major element in this in our collection is of course the Citrus aurantium, the bitter oranges, but we have several bay trees, and as you can see, palm trees, cycas, and pomegranates, myrtles, and everything that you want to have in an orangery. And we are also keeping our bulbs like dahlias, and so we store them during the winter in the orangery. And that's a habit that you see in a lot of orangeries, that they are a kind of storage room for plants that you are digging out after the summer.
Hurrah.
Well, I told you that we are playing our role in this national in the national plant collection, and one of the things that that you have to do is to raise new plants. Well, trees from 300 years old, they will die at a certain moment. Even this year, we lost one in a storm, and then it's good to take care of the varieties, to make grafts of them and to reproduce them. Well, that's what we are doing. What I told you about the grafts from Vienna, but we also produced some young trees for other collections. For instance, for Twickel, we had some exchange, and with Rosendael Castle as well. And 2 years ago, we brought some plants to Hampton Court. To restart an orange collection over there. So well, I hope they are doing well. This bitter orange with this colored leaves, it originally came from Mottenburg house. It's an estate in the southwest part of the Netherlands, and it was, I think, the only variegated one that was left in the Netherlands. And so we got grafts from them, and we reproduced them. And in the meanwhile, the old plant at Mottenburg has died. And well, I think on the right moment we will bring them. We will bring a new little tree back to them. May I have the next one? The same problem.
Same problem. If anyone knows why this keeps happening, please put it in the chat, because it's a new problem for me.
Well, I can talk a little bit about the greenhouse. It has a double glazing, and well, also the top has a kind of artificial glass second layer. To reduce energy, the use of energy, and it's what's a special thing to take care of within this greenhouse, because it's heated only at a low temperature. You have to take care of snow in the winter. If there is a lot of snow, there is a special system to heat the top part of the greenhouse to have the snow melted. Otherwise, the glass may come down with a lot of snow, and it's something that you really don't want. Well, there are some fine specimens of varieties. You see the corniculata, the horn bearer on the left side, and well, it's an extremely difficult variety as there are so many varieties with long horns and with small ones, and well, who will say what's the right one in this name? Well, let's start. On the right side you see an orange from our variegated variety. I think in Germany this type is also sometimes called Landsknecht, but well, I'm gladly to hear more about that. The next one, please.
I think I'm going to have to move the slide to and fro just to keep the thing awake. That's all I can think of while you're talking. So
yeah.
Aha, right, okay. We're there.
But now we're coming in really in the maintenance aspect of the orangery. Well, every 10 to 15 years you have to repot, especially the old the old ones. And one of the things I learned from my colleague Martin Bouwmeester on the left is that once you start with young oranges, stay in a small pot, and when they are growing, they need a bit larger pot, but not at once. So every part of the soil has to be used by the roots of the citrus trees. But of course, the soil is you have to change it after a while. An orangery is an artificial system, and they are not growing free in a field. So this very large tubs, they are they take the bends from the tub, and the tub is opened, and then we are lifting the tree with a kind of tool that was made and designed by the gardeners themselves. It's you can see it hanging on a forklift, and it is when they place it on both sides of the tree ball of the root ball, it's ties together, and that you can lift the tree up without harming the roots. May I have the next one? Actually, this is our oldest tree.
There we go.
Yeah.
I'm trying a different method now.
Yeah. Well, after the tree is lifted from the tub, it's raked to take as much old soil and old roots away from the tree, and then it's repotted. Of course, we are starting with pot sherds and lava bowls, and then you put soil on it. Can tell a little bit about the soil mixture. We had a traditional mixture of, but that we are not using it anymore, of 30% of beech leaf soil, 30% of so-called land pot soil. Lent is a village in the south of the Netherlands with a lot of nurseries, and it contains some clay. And then 20% of black soil, and I'm talking about the sandy soil here at Het Loo with a lot of humus inside. 10% of clay and 10% of well-composed cow manure. We said goodbye to this mixture, and nowadays we are using only this land pot soil number 4. There is 10% of clay in it. It's mixed through this white peat, and they are growing very well on it. And the main reason we said goodbye to it, that you can't get proper cow manure anymore. There are often a lot of medicines in it, and you don't want to have this with your trees. When it's the benefit of this mixture is that it absorbs water very well, but also fertilizers, but it also releases the water very well. So until now, we are using this for 15-20 years. It's working very well. May I have the next one? Well, here you can see the trees. In the summer in the Queen's Garden. Traditionally, the garden where all the orange trees are placed and the orangery plants. In the 17th century, the orangery was just on the other side of the garden, and this is the place where all those trees are. It's not completely without danger, as sometimes you have winds from coming from the roof of the palace, and for this reason we lost one tree last year because of a sudden wind. It just broke down. You can see the tubs are placed a little bit from the soil, so the wind can go underneath to keep also the tubs in a good condition. And a little notice about the sculpture on the end of this garden path. It's the story of Paris and Helena. As you know, the offering, Paris offered the golden apple to Helena, saying that she was the most beautiful of all wives, and that was the start of the Trojan War. The garden of the sculpture originally didn't was at Het Loo, but in another royal palace, and we thought it was a proper place, the Golden Apple, to place this sculpture in the Queen's Garden, and together with the oranges. May I have the next one? Here you see our oldest tree, 330 years old. You hardly can imagine that trees can, in an artificial condition, can last so long, but it's still doing very well. And one of the things that you have to do is to keep pruning the branches, the tree, the crown, but also pruning the roots. And then you're forcing the plant to renew itself. And that still works. And my colleague Martin Bouwmeister has no fear of clipping down complete orange trees without leaving almost any leaves on them. And if you see it, you think, my God, what will come from this tree? And after that, it's covered with a kind of foliage, with a kind of fabric. What you have to do is not watering the tree a lot because there are no leaves left, but to keep this pruned crown very moist under this fabric, and then it's starting to spring again with a lot of young leaves and young branches, and that's a good method to keep the tree in a good condition, even after 330 years. So the next one, please. So another element, is transport in gardens. Nowadays, of course, we have modern equipment to put the trees and the plants in and out. And as you saw it in the old days, it was a kind of a social event with the tenants and all the people involved in an estate. And at Het Loo, we still have a 19th century carriage, you can say, more or less say, to take the tubs in and out. We are not using it for every day, but it's used on a kind of a ceremonial. It still has a kind of a ceremonial task to bring the last orange tree out in the garden. The black horse was a loan from the royal stables. The horse is called Kjeld. And we make a kind of a party out of it, and then the tree is brought into the garden, and then we are drinking on the new season. It's more or less also the opening of the summer season. This carriage had to be restored completely. Was left in some sheds at Het Loo and completely forgotten. And we have a support society, and the chairman of it asked me once, well, do you have something where I can spend some money on? Well, that's a question you always hope to get. And I think something that you can do is to restore this old orange carriage. And that's what I did. The carriage is from 1886, and it's still functioning nowadays. Okay, the next one, please. It's already mentioned, there is a certain threat on orangeries, not at Het Loo, but this is the Orangery at Rosendael Castle, where you have, during the winter, the orange trees and the other trees, other plants are inside. But it's also used as a tea house and a kind of and for catering services. Of course, there is always a pressure that, if the weather is getting good in April, they want the plants to be outside, and in this time of the year, when they already have to be inside, they still want to benefit the fine weather and the good days in autumn. I think this is a real threat for orangery collections. An orangery is an orangery and not a cafeteria or a restaurant. And you should, and especially heritage organizations, should also be aware of it. Rosendael Castle is part of the Gelderland Trust. It's a heritage organization, and not a private partner who have to be aware of all the money. So I think they have a responsibility for that. But unfortunately, that's something that you see in more organizations. Yeah, thank you for the for all the sums. Well, you have to struggle for some things. May I have the next one? Well, we started with the east wing of the palace, with the Palace of William and Mary, and we will end with the Queen's Garden and all the small orangery plants in the 17th century. This was the Queen's Garden. Well, the entire garden of Het Loo have been restored, the formal garden, and well, we are happy to show our audience, our public, still a fantastic collection of orangery plants, and certainly of our precious citrus trees. So, well, thank you for your attention, and I hope there will be some questions.
Thank you very much, Willem. Lots of clapping of hand, thumbs up with your comments about how we really should preserve the buildings for the function that they are there for. So there are some questions. So Avril Ingram has asked, you've talked about pruning, and I presume she means not the root pruning, but the top pruning. What time of year do you prune the citrus trees?
We always prune in the winter time. So after Christmas, you can say it will start in the month of February is often used until half March for pruning our trees.
Okay.
And as an extra, I can say that repotting to give the citrus trees new tubs and new soil. That's also something that you are doing May, June. It's a busy time, but then you're in the growing season and they continue growing right away. It's not something that you should do in autumn, as they are in a rest period.
Okay. And you were saying that your colleague does prune them very hard, so that sometimes there's no leaves at all to be seen.
Well, that's only when they have to be repotted. That's then you give you take away a lot of old roots. And that moment you're taking away also a lot of branches, and they are almost left completely naked, and then you keep them inside, I think, for a year, cover them with this fabric, and make this a moist, and giving them the crown of the tree a moist climate, and it has proved to be excellent, and it's a great success.
Great. And Avril also asked, what rootstock do you use for propagation?
Well, we are buying Citrus aurantium rootstocks from Spain. And we also think of how is it called? Well, the trifoliata. It doesn't come into my mind. So perhaps somebody else can. But until now, we mainly are using Citrus aurantium from Spain as rootstock.
Right. Okay. And then somebody else is asking what kind of soil. Could you repeat what kind of soil you use now? You said it was a mix, a commercial mix.
It's a commercial mix. It's called Lentse potgrond, Lent pot soil number 4, and it consists mainly of 90% of white peat, and it's mixed with 10% of clay. And this clay is, it's not a rough mix. The clay is frozen, then it's grinded, and then it's mixed through the white peat. So it's mixed very, fine through the peat. And it's proven to be a very good mixture for the citrus trees. And we also use it for other trees as well, for other orangery plants.
So in my ignorance, when you say white peat, what do you mean by white peat? Because I don't think that means anything, certainly to a UK audience.
Well, it's not white, but it's the dry. Yeah, it comes from Sweden, and I think in the large parts of Russia are also covered in this white peat. It's a dry peat. You have wet peat and dry peat. It's this loose material.
So it's what we would call peat. It is black, peat. Is it?
Yeah, I think it's perhaps better to mention it as just as peat.
Okay, right. So that would be a problem for us in the UK because, certainly a lot of gardens do not use peat anymore. So I don't know what the alternatives might be. You talked about leaf mold, beech leaf mold.
Yeah, so,
but you don't do that anymore.
I think they have an excellent recipe in Vienna.
Mm,
They are making their own compost, and well, we saw the process and we had it explained. You also have to consider that the climate is a bit different from the
mm,
Netherlands. But the main thing is that it has to be a loose mixture. Yeah, the water has to go through it quickly. If you have a very wet summer, one of the dangers of citrus trees is that they stay too wet for a too long period,
mm.
and
Yes.
then the roots are starting to rot. So
Okay. Yeah, so I'm just going to move on because we're running out of time. We need to get to Stefan soon. But another question here from Nate. We're challenged for space where I work. I tend to pick a couple of choice plants to go outside each year. Does it harm the trees to keep them indoors for many years in a row?
well, I think orangery plants need to go outside in the summer. Of course, they suffer not so much in a greenhouse, but they are suffering. Yeah, to be inside. They are not intended to be in a house. They are actually outdoor plants. And if it's May and the weather is good, it's good to bring them outside. And one of the things you have to take care of, not to expose them to in full sunshine immediately. Otherwise, the leaves, who are a bit fragile after their storage in the winter, the leaves are a little bit weak, and you have to get used to be outside and to get a bit thicker layer of wax, and then after that you can put them in a full sunny exposure.
Right, yes. And somebody else talks about how do you move your terracotta pots? You can't really use a forklift for that.
No,
Do you
no,
have a technique?
that's a good question, and well, you always forget some things. We have a very modern carriage, how you call it, and there is a hydraulic system that you can put it just on the soil, and then you only have to lift the pots for 5 to 10 centimeters, and you can put them on the wagon, and then you can use a hydraulic system, and it will come up, and then you can bring them to the greenhouse.
Right. Okay. I love those images of the horse-drawn carriages. I'm sure we'd all love one of those for
Yeah,
moving plants in and out. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Willem.